This man started with nothing but grit, ambition, and an obsession with winning. He went on to dominate an industry, crush rivals, and lay the literal tracks of America's future. This is the story of Cornelius Vanderbilt, the railroad king, the ruthless competitor, and the man whose vision built the backbone of modern America. It's not just about money, but about power, risk, and a relentless belief that no obstacle is too great. Welcome to Empire Sparks, where we uncover the untold stories of the men and women who built empires and changed history. Cornelius Vanderbilt was born in 1794 on Staten Island, New York. His family was poor, and young Cornelius had little education. At age 11, he dropped out of school and began working with his father, who ferried passengers across New York Harbor. From an early age, he showed two traits that defined his life: hard work and an unstoppable will to get ahead. By 16, he borrowed $100 from his mother to buy his own small boat. With it, he began transporting goods and people between Staten Island and Manhattan. This humble ferry business was the seed of an empire. Vanderbilt quickly gained a reputation. He was aggressive, he cut prices, and he worked tirelessly. Competitors called him ruthless, customers called him reliable, and he proudly earned the nickname Commodore. He did not just want to make a living, he wanted to dominate. By the time he was in his 30s, he controlled a fleet of steamboats, undercutting rivals and building a fortune. But this was only the beginning. In the mid-1800s, America was transforming. The Industrial Revolution was in full swing. Cities were growing, and people were moving west. The need for fast, reliable transportation was exploding. Railroads promised to be the future. Vanderbilt saw it, and he knew steamboats, while profitable, were only the past. In his 60s, when most men were thinking about retirement, Vanderbilt switched industries entirely. He sold his shipping interests and threw his wealth and energy into railroads. This move shocked his rivals, but it made perfect sense. Vanderbilt understood that whoever controlled the railroads would control America's economy. Trains were not just moving passengers, they were moving steel, coal, wheat, and every vital resource. Railroads were the arteries of a growing nation, and Vanderbilt intended to own them. His tactics were as bold as they were brutal. He bought up controlling shares in key railroads, using his fortune to squeeze out competitors. When companies resisted, he waged price wars until they collapsed. In one famous battle, he refused to allow rival trains access to New York City's only rail terminal, cutting off their business completely. It was pure economic warfare. Vanderbilt did not play fair, he played to win. By the 1860s, he controlled the New York Central Railroad, one of the most important lines in the country. He then expanded, linking New York to Chicago, creating the first great railroad system in America. This was not just business strategy, it was national transformation. Vanderbilt's railroads slashed travel time, lowered shipping costs, and connected markets like never before. Farmers in the Midwest could now ship grain to the East Coast. Factories could send products across states. America was no longer a collection of isolated regions. It was becoming one vast, interconnected economy, and Vanderbilt was at the center. Yet his methods made him enemies. He was accused of being a monopolist, a bully, even a robber baron. And to be clear, he was ruthless. He once said, "What do I care about the law? Ain't I got the power?" For Vanderbilt, power was the law. His competitors hated him, but they also feared him, because time and again, he crushed anyone who stood in his way. Still, he was not only feared, he was respected. Unlike some tycoons, Vanderbilt did not rely on shady insiders or political favors. He believed in efficiency, in cutting waste, in driving down costs, and in reinvesting profits. He built his empire on tough competition, not handouts. In this sense, he represented the raw, unfiltered energy of American capitalism. Vanderbilt also understood the power of image. He built Grand Central Depot in New York City, the forerunner of today's Grand Central Terminal. It was more than a train station. It was a symbol of progress, of modernity, and of Vanderbilt's dominance. Every train that entered or left was a reminder of who controlled the rails. But empire building always comes with a price. Vanderbilt's focus on business came at the expense of family life. He was known as a harsh father, demanding loyalty and toughness from his children. When he died in 1877 at the age of 82, he left behind an estate worth over $100 million, the largest fortune ever accumulated in America at that time. To put that in perspective, adjusted for today's money. That would be billions. He left most of it to his son William, bypassing many of his other children. Even in death, Vanderbilt made bold, divisive decisions. His legacy, however, is undeniable. Vanderbilt transformed transportation in America. He took railroads, once chaotic and inefficient, and forged them into a unified system that powered industrial growth. Without his vision and relentless drive, America's rise as an economic superpower would have been delayed. He showed that infrastructure is the foundation of prosperity, and that vision, when matched with courage, can reshape a nation. But his story also raises questions. How much ruthlessness is too much? At what point does competition become exploitation? Vanderbilt was admired and hated, celebrated and condemned. Yet one thing is certain: he left his mark on history. The tracks he laid became the framework for America's economic engine. His fortune set the stage for the age of industrial giants that followed, men like Rockefeller, Carnegie, and J.P. Morgan. In many ways, Vanderbilt was the blueprint for the American tycoon. For us today, his story is both a warning and an inspiration. It warns us of the dangers of unchecked ambition, but it also reminds us that your vision, courage, and relentless determination can change the world. Cornelius Vanderbilt began as a poor boy with a single boat, and through sheer willpower became the richest man in America. That journey proves that empires are not given, they are built. One risk, one decision, one battle at a time. As we close this story of the railroad dynasty, remember this: the empire you build is not measured only by money, but by the infrastructure, the systems, and the legacy you leave behind. In the words of Cornelius Vanderbilt himself, "You have undertaken to cheat me, I will not sue you, for the law is too slow, I will ruin you." Harsh words, but they capture the fire that fueled his empire. Here at Empire Sparks, we believe that while not every tactic should be copied, the lesson is clear. Determination and bold vision are the sparks that build empires.